Hello.
Okay, should I start?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So, in my last session, I have just discussed the basic dense, you can say deep neural network for this image classification problem. And for this problem, we have taken a handwritten numerous problem where we are given a handwritten numerous as an image of size 28 by 28, and we have to design a deep neural network. And so we have designed this deep neural network, and there are 10 uh, output classes are there. So we have used 10 total number of neurons in the output layer and 784 in the input layer. So we talk about the drawback of this deep neural network is its complexity. The complexity increases exponentially. So to overcome this problem, the different architecture, deep neural architecture is proposed for the image classification, and that is the termed as convolutional neural network. Now, in image classification, this deep convolution neural network is basically used in many visual recognition tasks. Different visual recognition tasks are available. For example, one is the image classification, and second is the classification and localization, object detection, semantic segmentation, and instance segmentation. And for all these different tasks, CNN can be used effectively. So let's try to understand the difference between these different computer vision tasks. So first one is the image classification. In image classification, basically we consider that every image has only one object within this image, and we have to classify the image according to this object. So may possible, we have the different types of objects in our image, and these objects are cat, dog, car, and so on. So we have to give it this input. We have to design a CNN. In short, we can call convolution neural network as CNN. So we have to design a CNN in which we just supply this image as an input, and it will classify it. It will train itself, and then after the training, can classify the image into one of the categories. So in this case, it will be a cat. So this is the image classification. Here we have to classify the image according to the objects available in the image. And here we are having a limitation that each image has only single object. So this is the image classification problem. Now, next is the image classification with localization problem. So this is another computer vision task. Here we perform the classification operation where we just classify the image according to the object, and image contains only one object. But along with the classification problem, we have to find out where the object is present in the image. So definitely what we do, we just draw a bounding box around the object, and this way we can locate the object within the image. So these are the two operations basically. One is the classification, second one is the localization. So this is a classification with localization problem. So that can also be used, that can also be, we can apply the deep neural network, deep CNN for this computer vision task also. Now, next is the advanced image classification problem is the object detection. Now, in this object detection, what happens? We have more number of objects in an image. These are the dog, bicycle, car, trees, and so on. So, different objects are there. Now, our purpose in object detection is to find out each and every object. We have to find out, and also we have to recognize each and every object in the image, and then we have to locate also. So we will just find the bounding box around the object within the image. So here you can see this is the bounding box for dog, and we have just labeled it as dog. We have labeled the bicycle as bicycle, car as car. So this is the object detection problem. Now here the image can contain multiple objects. So when the multiple objects are there, then this problem is the object detection, and here every object is detected in the image, and those are also located by the bounding box. So this is the object detection problem. So this is can also be implemented using the deep convolutional neural network. So next is one of the important computer vision tasks is the semantic segmentation. Basically, this semantic segmentation we also call it as pixel level classification. So we can say it is the pixel level classification. Pixel level classification. So in this pixel level classification, what happens? We consider each pixel as an object in the image. So now what we will do? We will classify each pixel in a particular category. For example, you will see here these set of pixels can be categorized into sky. So every pixel in this area is categorized into sky. These set of pixels are categorized as trees. These set of pixels as cat. These set of pixels as grass. And similarly, in second image, there are two cows. So these cow, the pixels belongs to cow are categorized into cow. Some pixels are categorized in tree, some in sky, and some in grass. So here we have classified each and every pixel into a respective category. So this is a semantic segmentation. So it's a pixel level classification and also known as semantic segmentation. So this is one of the important application of the computer vision, which is heavily used in different types of application. We will discuss these application in detail in later on. So this is a semantic segmentation. We will also discuss one of the model how we can apply the semantic segmentation technique. Now next is the instance segmentation. Now in semantic segmentation, basically the one important thing is the advanced version of the semantic segmentation is the instance segmentation. Only difference is here in semantic segmentation we classify that this pixel belongs to cow and this pixel also belongs to cow. We do not differentiate that this pixel belongs to first cow, this pixel belongs to second cow. So that means object or instances are not differentiated. If a pixel belongs to a category of class, then it only is categorized in that class only. It does not differentiate the instances. But in instance segmentation, we perform the pixel level classification. Same, it is also a pixel level classification where each pixel is classified into a particular category. But here, the different instances are also identified. For example, these pixels belongs to person one, and these pixels belong to person 2. This is belongs to person 3. But in case of semantic segmentation, all these pixels belongs to only one category, that is person. So here in instance segmentation, we find out the different instances as along with the semantic segmentation. This is the instance segmentation, and that is also basically used now in nowadays research areas in deep CNN applications. So these are the different categories of the computer vision task where we use the deep convolution neural network. Now we have seen the drawback of simple dense deep neural network. Now we have to design some separate, some different architecture to overcome the problem of the computational cost. So this is the CNN. So CNN is a different task. CNN is a different architecture of deep convolution neural network. It is basically also inspired with human visual system. Our in a human visual system, we have the initial layers have some neurons which basically perform some different operations, and other neurons perform some different operations. So you can say this CNN is basically inspired from the human visual system. So just like the simple dense deep neural network, this CNN also works in layers. We have number of layers, and each layer has its own function. Each layer has its own function. So here we just supply in an image as an input to the first layer. Then the output of this first layer is given to next layer, next layer, and so on. And at last we have the output layer, which contains the number of neurons equals to the number of classes. So the operation mathematically, if we will compare, then both are the same, but only the architecture is different. That is the dense deep neural network, but here we will use the sparse connections. So let's see how we are going to perform this CNN. So in CNN network, you can see here we use a number of layers. So here it is an input where the image is given as input. Then we can use number of convolution layer. This is the one of the important layer on which on due to which this architecture, deep neural network architecture, is given a name convolution neural network. So we use number of convolution layer in this architecture, CON 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and each convolution layer is followed by ReLU activation function, which we have already studied. So this is the activation function, ReLU activation function. So these are the convolution layer. Then each convolution layer is generally followed by the ReLU layer. Then in between the ReLU and convolution layer, we use a pooling layer. We will discuss how this pooling layer performs the operation. In between, we use a pooling layer, as well as in between we also use the dropout layer to overcome the problem of overfitting problem. And at last, generally we use the fully connected layer. So we will discuss all these layers one by one. And these two layers you will see here are written in red. Red means we can say these two layers are the learnable layers. That means the parameters included in these two layers are being learned during the training process, and rest are parameters are not learnable parameters. So this is the convolution layer. So now we have to study how convolution layer works, and then how pooling layer works, how fully connected layer works, and how we can design this convolution neural network architecture. So to understand the operation, first we will discuss the problem of image processing, that is known as age detection. Now you can see here for example, we have an image, and from this image, what we have to do, I have to find out the vertical edges or horizontal edges. So I have to detect the edges. So now how this operation is being performed on the images, how mathematically we can perform some operation which generates the output as an vertical edge or horizontal edge. So let's try to understand how this operation is performed. So for understanding the problem, we take a small image of a particular size. The size of this image is 6 by 6. So this is a 6 by 6 image. And if we visualize this image, you will see here, for the simplicity, we have taken it, this part is a regular part of the image. This all values are of 10. So I am just representing the higher value as white over here, and all the zero values. Dash part is contains 0. So this is a grayscale. So you will see there are two types of regions are there: white region and grayscale region. So what happens whenever we merge two regions? When we merge two regions, then n is a line is appeared, and this is known as age. This is known as age. So now we have to perform some operation that will if we perform that operation on this image, then that should to give some output, and so that we can identify that there is an age in the image. So now how I will perform this operation? So to detect the edges, what I will do here, I will use a kernel. That is also known. I will use a small window of this small window is also known as filter or mask or kernel. So we can use any. So we can use kernel, filter, or mask. So I just choose a small size kernel or filter. Generally, we use a odd size filter so that we can find out the center point. So this is here I am using a filter of size 3 by 3. Now I will perform a mathematical operation, and that operation is known as convolution operation. And this convolution operation will help us to find out the vertical edges. So if I visualize this particular filter, so if you will visualize this particular filter, so here it contains these pixels, these values are 1, so this is higher than 0, so I have represented it as white. These are 0 represented as gray, and these are -1 represented as black. So this is the visualized form of this filter. Now I have to perform this convolution operation. Now how I am going to perform this convolution operation? It is a very simple mathematical operation. What I will do, I will just put this mask on this image on top left corner. So I will just put this mask on this top left corner of the image, and then I will perform the weighted sum. So how I will perform this? 10 is overlapped with 1, so I will find out 10 into 1 plus this 0 is overlapped with this 10, so this will be 10 into 0 plus this -1 will overlapped with 10 into -1, and so on. This 1 is overlapped to this 10, so I will plus 10 into 1 plus 10 into 0 plus 10 into -1 plus 10 into 1 plus 10 into 0 plus this -1 is overlapped with this 10 into -1. So now you will find here these 10 and -10 will be crossed out, 0 will be crossed out, 10 and -10 will be crossed out, 0 will be crossed out, 10 and -1 will be crossed out, 0 will be crossed out. So output of this operation, weighted sum of this operation is 0, which I have written over here. So when I just put this mask onto this image at the top left corner, then it will generate a single value, and this value is 0. Now what I will do, I will move this mask towards the right side. So I will move this mask by one column towards the right side. Now it covers this portion. Now it covers this portion. So when it covers this portion, I will perform the same operation. 10 into 1 plus 10 into 0 plus 0 into 0. So it will give 10, 10, 10. So it will give 30. The output I have written over here, 30. Similarly, then I will move the mask to next position and again perform the weighted sum. Now I will again perform the weighted sum. So you will find out this will again be 30. Then I will move the filter again to next position. Then if I will perform the operation, all values are 0. So it will be 0. Okay. So this is the operation of first. This is the output when I move this filter in a row wise direction. Now after completing the all rows, now I will move this mask. I will move this mask one row below. So I will shift by row now. I will shift by one row now. So I will again perform the operation. All values are 10. If I will find out the weighted sum, then its value will be 0. Then I will move it to next position. It will give you 30. Then I will move the next position. It will give the 30 again. Then move to next position. It will give you 0. So when I will move to this position, all values are 0. So it will be 0. Next, I will again move to the next lower rows. So it will be give us a 0. Then I will move towards the right side. It will give us 30, 30, 0, 0, 30, 30, 0. So this way, what I am doing, I am just moving this mask around the image from top left corner, from this top left corner to bottom right corner, and find out the weighted sum. And I just write these values over a output volume. So here I am just storing these values as a output. So what happens if we analyze the output, mathematical output? So now what you will see here, if I visualize this output, you will see these values are 0. So this is a gray, these values are 0, this is a gray, these are more than, the value is higher than 0, so it is white. So somewhat it is just like an is. So it is representing an is. So this is a vertical edge. So that's mean if I move this mask over this image, I am getting only those portion will be activated having the higher value, which will represent the vertical edge. So that's mean if I apply this operation, then I can with this mask values, then I can get the vertical edges. So this operation is known as convolution. Now why it is performing this operation? You will see here, if we analyze that the sum of all the values of this mask are 0, 1, minus 1, 0, 1, minus 1, 0, 1, minus 1, 0. That's mean if I sum up these all values of this kernel is 0. And when I will apply this mask on a particular uniform part of the image, this is a uniform part, that's mean all values are 10. So when you will apply, find out the weighted sum, then its value will be 0. That's mean when I apply such mask on a uniform image, then its value will be 0. When I apply over here, its value is 0, because the sum of the mask values are 0. So this particular filter, when I apply in such a place where there is a transition from higher to lower, lower to higher value, these are transition from 10 to 0, then only it gives some response. And that is the logic behind this. So here, this particular operation of masking is known as convolution. We have given this as a convolution operation. And by using this convolution operation, I am able to generate the vertical edges. So now what will happen here? If I will apply the same filter of 3 by 3 filter, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, minus 1, minus 1, minus 1 on this image, then I will get this output as a vertical edges. And if I want to find out the horizontal edges, then what you will do? You will just only shift these value 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, minus 1, minus 1, minus 1. So if I apply this filter on this image, I will get the horizontal edges. So this way, by using the convolution operation, I can find out the edges. Now, what are these edges? These edges are nothing but the properties of the image, one of the attributes of the images. So these edges and lines are considered as the properties. That means by using this convolution operation, I am able to extract the attributes, extract the lines attributes in terms of lines and vertical lines or horizontal lines. So this is the example how we perform the convolution on an image. Now there is one more concept that is being used in the convolution to understand the convolution operation. That operation is known as padding. Now what is this padding actually? So before that, let's see one important concept in this whole process of vertical edge detection. You will see here, uh, when we apply this mask on this image, the size of this image is 6 by 6 and the size of the filter is 3 by 3. But output size you will see here, it is 4 by 4. It is reduced by 2 pixels, 4 by 4. So you will see by the size of input and knowing, and by the size of this particular filter size, I can decide what is the size of the output volume, and I can write the form in terms of formula as well. So the output size, if the input size is n by n and the filter size is f by f, then I can find out the size output size. So output size will be n minus f plus 1 into n minus f plus 1. That's mean in this case n is 6 minus f is 3 plus 1. 6 minus 3 is 3 plus 1, that is 4. So the size of output image is 4 by 4. So this way I can calculate the output size of the image. Now what I want that if the input size is 6 by 6 over here, then output size should be 6 by 6. I want that after the convolution operation, the output size should be same as the input size. So now how this operation can be performed? Now what I can do to get the same size of output? So what I will do, I will just padded this image. With zeros. So I just padded this image with zeros. So these all values are filled up with zeros like this. So what I did, I just padded the image with 1 pixel. It is known as it will be called as padding with 1. So p, we can represent the padding with p. So p value is 1. So the padded is, we have padded this image with 1. That's mean all the around the image we have inserted zero value. So you will see here, after padding with 1, so you will see what becomes the size of the image. The size of the image becomes n plus 2 into n plus 2, because both sides 2 pixels are increased. So size increases by n plus 2 and n plus 2. So here the size becomes 8 by 8. Now the filter size is f into f. Now you will see here the output size, the formula was n minus f plus 1 into n minus f plus 1. So now n over here is 8. So 8 minus f is still 3 plus 1. So this will be 5 plus 1, that is 6. So the image size will be 6 by 6. That is the size equal to size, that is equals to the input volume, input size. So here by adding some padded value around the image can increase the output size. So this process is known as the padding, and basically padding is used to increase the output volume, Now we can just find out the formula in place of just adding the value in n. If we have a padded, if we are padding with 1, then we can find out the output volume formula. The output volume formula is L plus n plus 2p minus f plus 1. So this part is same. We have only added 2p because in n, how many pixels are added both sides? 2 pixels in this case. So that's why we are adding 2p over here. So the output size becomes n plus 2p minus f plus 1 into n plus 2p minus f plus 1. So by this way, we can calculate the output size for input size after applying the convolution operation. Now If we apply this padding, so on the basis of the padding, there are two types of convolution are there. One is the valid convolution and second one is the same convolution. Same convolution says if the input size and after applying the convolution, the output size is same as the input size, then it is a same convolution. This process is known as same convolution. Okay, if the output size is same as the input size, then we can say it is a same convolution. And same convolution is only possible when we add the padding. When we add the padding, so we add the padding of the original image with p, then we perform the filtering, then we can get the same size of the output image. Okay, and if we are not using same convolution, and then we are not using any padding, then it is known as the valid convolution. So these two types of convolution we generally use. So this is the operation of the padding. Now one more criteria is used in the convolution layer, that is known as the stride convolution. Now what do you mean by stride? Now what happens? Stride means, as I have already told you, we perform the convolution by moving this mask around the image from top left corner to right bottom corner. So we started from the top left corner, then I have moved this mask by one column or by one row, by one column or by one row. So this, thus moving the number of columns, you are moving this mask is known as the stride size. Stride size. So in the previous example, we are using the stride size as 1 because we are shifting it by one column or one row. Okay. Now, if I move this mask by two column, I move this mask by two column in place of one column by two column, then stride size will be 2. Stride size will be 2. So now here I am increasing, I am just shifting this mask by two columns, and then I will shift this mask by two rows. By two rows, the stride size becomes 2. So you can see here. So I am using here the stride size as 2. The stride size as 2. So this particular process by which how many columns or rows we have to shift in a convolution operation have a great impact. Now what impact thing is, if I have a one stride size, then output volume for this image was, the output volume of this image will be 3 and 3 6 and 7. It is a 7 by 7 image. 7 by 7 image. The output size will be n minus f plus 1. There is no padding, so I am not using the padding over here. N minus f plus 1 into n minus f plus 1. This will be the size. So n over here is 7 minus 3 plus 1, 4 plus 5, 1, 5. So I will get the output image 5 by 5 if the stride size is 1. But if stride size is 2, in this example, the stride size is 2. And that's why I am getting the size 3 by 3. The size is reduced. Output volume is reduced. So output volume is basically depends on this stride size also. Stride size also. So now if I use some padding, I can say if I am using some padding, if I am the filter size is f, the stride size is s, then I can get the what will be the output volume of my output image after the convolution operation. So I can find out this value. So that if the size of the image is n by n, filter size is f by f, f by f, and then I have to find out the output volume. So how I can find out? So it will be n plus 2p, n plus 2p, n plus 2p minus f divided by s plus 1. So this is the stride side, and basically if this value is not an integer value, so we just take the floor, value. So the output size will be n plus 2p minus f divided by s plus 1. So I can find out these values, output volume, if I am using stride size more than 1. In case of 1, then it will be replaced by n plus 2p minus f plus 1 only. So this way the output volume is decided. Now second important thing, if I increase the output volume, if the stride size is 1, then you will see here next, in the next phase I move this mask by one column. So you will see these two columns are shared by two operations. These two columns are shared by two columns. But if I move it by two columns, then only one column is shared. So you have to decide how many sharing overlapping you required to calculate these values. So this way we can decide the output volume and as well as how many particular part we are requiring to overlap. So the values are overlapped or the shared in between the two operations. So this is the straight convolution. So here, to understand the convolution operation, we have started from this. The value is generated as 91. Then we can calculate 100 and so on. So I can calculate these values. So now the finally, you can see the size. If the image size is n by n, filter size is f by f, padding is p, and stat size is s, then the output volume will be n plus 2p minus f upon s plus 1, n plus 2p minus f upon s plus 1. So this way you can get the output size. So here we are getting the floor value. We are getting the floor value only. So this is the straight convolution. Now, once these all things are clear to you, padding, stride size, and the convolution operation, then by using these, now we can easily understand what is convolution layer and what it performs actually, and how it is similar to dense deep neural network. So now let's try to understand the convolution layer. So convolution layer is, in convolution layer, we convolve a 2D image. Here we are working in two dimension. Okay. So we convolve a 2D image with a kernel or filter. So kernel slides over the image. At particular moment of time. For example, the kernel overlaps this particular portion, and at one time it just replaces these 9 values to one value. So you can say there is a mapping from 9 to one value. These 9 values are replaced by one value. So this is a many to one relationship. So this is a many to one relationship. So convolution layer, we are performing a many to one relationship. So this way, this is the convolution where we find out the sum of the element wise multiplication in between the input matrix and the kernel matrix. So this is the convolution operation. Now, till now we have I have explained the convolution layer onto a single channel input image. Now generally the image are, now you can easily understand, if I have a simple one two-dimensional image of size n by n, if I convolve it with a small filter of size f by f, then I get some output. It depends n plus 2p minus f plus 1 divided by s. These are the size. Okay, into same. Okay. Now what will happen if I am using a color image? Now how this operation is being performed? So in case of color image, what will happen? There will be more than one channel. For example, in RGB image, there is 3 channels are there. R, G, and B. 3 channels are there. Okay. So now when I will convolve it with a filter, so what should I do? Since there is a single filter, so now what I will do? I will make 3 channels of filter as well. So I will take the same size of 3 filters, or you can say I will use the number of channels in the filter will be 3. So each channel will work on its corresponding channel. The first channel of the filter will work on this channel. Second channel of this filter will work on this channel. Third channel will perform the operation on this third channel. And the overall sum of the matrix, sum of the element multiplication is given as one output. So you will see here, if I will move this, the size of this filter is, for example, f by f, then f by f area will be covered by this filter in each particular channel, and that will generate only single value. So this way I can perform the filtering operation. So here, for the comparison how it is similar to our initial deep neural network, which I have explained the mathematically. So now we will compare these two, how this convolution layer performs the same mathematical operation. Now you will see here I am performing the same. Now here the input size, you will see there is an image, RGB image, which has a 3 channels. This is the R channel, this is a G channel, this is the B channel, RGB image, and the size of this image is 5 by 5. This is a 5 by 5. This is the actual image 5 by 5. Okay, and this image is padded. By 1 0. So here padding I am using 1, padded by 0, and actual size is 5 by 5. Due to this padding, the input volume size becomes 7 by 7. And since there are 3 channels, so I am writing it as 7 by 7 by 3. 7 by 7 by 3. Okay. So these are the 3 number of channels. Now I have to perform the convolution operation. So I will use a filter. So I am using a filter of size 3 by 3, and the each filter size is 3 by 3. Now number of channels will be 3 over here. 1, 2, 3. So that's why the filter size becomes 3 by 3 by 3. Now this filter will move to this particular channel. Second filter will move to second channel of the filter will move to second channel of the input image. Third filter will move to third channel of the input image. Now I have to perform the operation. Now how I will perform the operation, and we will try to compare it with the original filtering. Now what will happen here? Let's, for example, for this RGB image, I have to make a deep, dense. You can say I have to make a dense neural network, deep neural network. So how you will design? So first you will decide the number of input neurons, the number of input neurons. How many neurons will be there? The size of input image is 7 by 7, and there are 3 channels. So how many? 7 into 7 into 3 neurons will be required. 7 by 7 into 3 neurons will be required. So in input layer, these number of neurons will be there. These number of neurons. The number of neurons will be 7 into 7 into 3. Then I will use the hidden layer neurons. Let's take number of hidden layer neurons I use. Hidden layer neurons. Okay. Then I will use some output layer. This is the output layer. Let's try to understand how we will perform the operation. Now what you did, if it is a dense deep neural network, I just give this input as a weighted value input to this neuron. These are connected with each other with some weight associated. So here now you will calculate the output of this neuron. Output of this neuron is calculated just like this input into corresponding weight plus this input into corresponding weight plus this input into corresponding weight, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, then we add a bias, and then we apply some activation function. This will generate output H0. So this is the first output of the first hidden layer neuron. Now the problem in this model was, at a time all the input neurons are connected to each neuron. So this is a dense connection. This is a dense connection, and it increases the complexity. So that's why we propose this convolution layer. Now how this particular portion of the operation is replaced by convolution layer in this. So now in convolution layer, what we did, actually at a particular moment of time, all the pixels, let for this neuron, I have to calculate the output of this neuron. So at a particular moment of time, all the neurons are not connected to this neuron. Only a set of neurons are connected. Only a set of neurons are connected to this neuron at a one iteration. Now how many neurons will be connected? It is decided by this filter. It is decided by the size of this filter. So size of this filter is 3 by 3 by 3. So 9. So 9 pixels of this channel will be connected to this 1, 2, 3, and so on up to 9. 9 pixels of top left corner will be connected to this particular neuron. So next 9 value will be connected to this neuron, and 9 values will be connected to this neuron. That means at a time 27, only 27 pixels will be connected to this neuron. 27 pixel will be connected to this neuron, and each input have a weight. Now where is the weight? So weight are stored in these filters. So these are weight W0. So this is W0, this is W1, this is W2, W3, W4, W5, W6, W7, W8. Now how you are going to perform? All the pixels are not connected, only a set of the pixels. Which set of the pixels? The pixels which are covered by these filters, only connected at a time. That's why it is a sparse connection. It is a sparse connection. We are not connecting at a time all the pixels. So now at a moment I am connecting only these 27 pixels. Now I will perform the weighted sum. How? Input into corresponding weight. Input into corresponding weight. So this is the input. Corresponding weight is over here 0. Plus input into corresponding weight 0. 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 Then 0. Then 2 into minus 1 minus 2. 2 into minus 1 minus 2. This will be minus 4. Weighted. It is a weighted sum. It is a weighted sum. Then these 9 pixels are also connected. So these 0 into 0. This into 0. This will be 1. So the value will be, weighted sum will be 1. When this mask, these 9 values are connected, so these will be 0, 0. This will be minus 1, minus 1. So now I will calculate the total weighted sum. Total weighted sum will be minus 4. So the weighted sum, that means XW value is minus 4. Then we add a bias. So XW plus bias. So a bias value is given over here is 1. So bias value is 1. So minus 4 plus 1 will be minus 3, and that is the output. I have not applied the activation function here. So that is the output. So you will see here, after applying, after attaching only the 27 pixel at a time, I will calculate the output, one of the output of this neuron, and one of the output of this neuron is minus 3, minus 3. Now what I will do, I will move this mask with a particular stride size. I will move the mask with a particular stride size. Now here stride size is 2. So now these pixels will be covered by this filter. That means now in this operation, next 27 pixel will be connected to the same neuron, to get the next value. So what happens in this connection? Next 27 pixels are these 27 pixels. That means all the pixels are not connected simultaneously, but set of the pixels are connected. So now the output of the same filter for these set of pixels will be minus 1. Okay, you can see the 0, 0, minus 2, then minus 4, then 0, 0, 0, then 0. These are 4, and these are minus 2. Minus 2 plus 1, minus 1. So output is minus 1. So this way I am getting a sparse connection between the input values and the neuron. I am getting the output volume. Next I will shift this. I will get 4. Then I will shift the same filter to next location. It will cover this location. It will generate minus 2. Then I will shift it. It will generate minus 7, minus 4, 1, minus 1, 1. So after applying this filter onto this image, I am getting this output volume. Now what will the size of the output volume? I can calculate. I know that here the size is 5 by 5. So n value is 5, padding is 1, stat size is 2, and f size is 3. The output size should be n plus 2p minus f divided by s plus 1. So you can calculate n is 5 plus 2 minus 3 divided by 2 plus 1. 7, 7 minus 3, 4, 4 by 2 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3. The output volume for this filter is 3 by 3. Is it clear? Now, in my simple, now you can understand the whole operation, I think. Now, in convolution, we are comparing it with the dense deep neural network. You will see the same operation we are performing, only the architecture is different. The thing we are captured in some different way. Now, what will happen? We have this input layer. Now we have understand this input layer. Now we have used one neuron, and the output of one neuron in sparse connection is this one. This is the output. This is the output of 3 by 3. So this is the output of one neuron. Now you will see in hidden layer, we are using more number of neurons. Let's say we are using 2 neurons. Then we will perform the same operation. We will perform the same operation for second neuron. Now this second neuron will be represented by second filter. So you will see here, this first filter represents the first neuron, second filter will represent the second neuron. If I will use 3 neurons in the hidden layer, then I will use 3 filters. So now if I have to calculate the output of second neuron, then I will apply this filter on the image. So now I will perform the same operation. I will apply this filter onto the first location, that is over here. Then I will perform the weighted sum. It will generate the value minus 7. Then next I will shift this to over here, then it will generate the value 3. Then I will move this, then generate 1. Then I will move this filter to next portion. I will perform the weighted sum, same weighted sum. It will generate minus 7. Then next I will move to this location. It will generate minus 11. Then I will move to next location. It will generate minus 1. Then I will move to next location, minus 4, minus 2, and minus 4. So that means second filter will also generate the same size of output image, 3 by 3. So it depends if you are using n number of neurons in the hidden layer. N number of neurons, this is the input layer, this is the hidden layer. And in hidden layer, if you are using n number of neurons, then you have to use n number of filters. And size of each filter, the number of channels in each filter should be equal to the number of channels in the input activation layer. This is the input layer, number of channels in the input layer. Okay, then I can get the output. And each filter will generate the output. H0, it will generate H1, and so on, and so on. So now here, if I see the output volume, this is the input volume was 7 by 7 by 3. And after applying the hidden layer, the total output volume, if I talk about the total output volume, then total output volume will be, you will see a filter, this neuron 1 is generating 3 by 3, neuron 2 is generating 3 by 3. So if I am using n number of filters, here I am using only two filters, the output volume will be 3 by 3 by 2, 3 by 3 by 2, 3 by 3 by 2, because I am using two filters. If I am using n filters, so the output size will be 3 by 3 by nc. Nc is the number of filters which we are using, or you can say number of neurons which you want to add in the hidden layer. So this way, by applying the convolution layer, this is nothing different from the basic deep neural network which I have explained. Mathematically, it is almost similar. Only difference is, in deep convolution layer, in deep neural network, we use dense layer, but here in convolution we use sparse layer, sparse connection. Okay, so this is the only difference, and now we can generate the output in this fashion. So this is the about the convolution layer, how this convolution layer works. So now in the morning class, I will explain, I will design the first convolution layer and try to understand. Now we are now able to design our own architecture. Okay, so now the session is open for the problems. Yes, you can ask the problems. Yes, please. I am waiting for the queries. Please, you can ask. Thank you, everyone. Now, what is exploding gradient descent? Basically, in I have already explained you. I will also explain it in future slides, where gradient vanishing problem, basically in grading vanishing problem, when we back forward the gradient, so its effect on the initial layers minimizes, and to overcome these problems we use some revelation techniques which we have used, just like dropout layer and so on. We will also discuss it in later details in the convolution neural network. Yes, any other query, please? Okay, lots of thank you very much. So, sir, now what should I do? I should wind up now, and we'll meet in the. There is no other queries are there, so we will meet in the morning class.
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, participants, and wait for some time because I am sending the feedback form in this chat box. So you can fill the feedback form. After that, you will leave the room.